If any of you watched my previous video on mapping the heavens, you know that I spent a lot of time thinking about the nature of the firmament. And one of the things I thought of was to maybe reconsider the nature of the firmament as kind of a snow globe. I think the shape might be a little different. One of the things that got me to thinking a little differently was this idea that there are pillars of heaven, as shown in the Bible. Job 26:11 states, "The pillars of heaven tremble and are astonished at his reproof." So, where are these pillars of heaven? First, we have to consider where are the cardinal points of the earth, not the geographic cardinal points of the earth, but the celestial points of the earth. Prior to the so-called Enlightenment, the prime meridian was not through Greenwich, England. It actually went through Jerusalem, which is at 35 degrees, 12 minutes, 54 seconds east. So if we draw a line south from Jerusalem and north from Jerusalem until they meet the edge of the earth, we will have the north-south celestial points. Drawing a line at 90 degrees from the north-south celestial line, we can get the east-west points. The corner points can be found by drawing lines 45 degrees out from the celestial points, as I have shown here with the blue lines. One of the things I've been rather thinking about lately is the fact that the Antarctic ring may not be such a nice, neat ring as is shown on the Gleason's map. And one gentleman on his blog, Rick Potvin, has been doing some research into the nature and structure and the geography of the Antarctic coastline, and he seems to find that it actually isn't as ring-like as has been thought of previously. So I have taken these corners of heaven and pasted them onto one of his conceptions of the Antarctic coastline. First, I have shown the circle of the earth as is described in the scriptures as how God has inscribed the circle of the earth. And you can see that here on Rick Potvin's conception of the Antarctic coastline. Next, we will add the corners of the earth, and this is kind of rough cartography because Rick Potvin's coastline doesn't line up with a perfect ring, but this is pretty close. It's not super accurate, but for our purposes, I think it will work. So at these corner points will be where the pillars are located, and I have shown them here as accurately as I can. Like I say, this is just very rough cartography. I have indicated the directions of the pillars as northeast, southeast, southwest, and northwest. One of the interesting things is that the northeast pillar is where Admiral Byrd went in and found the edges very close to where the northeast pillar is. And the other one is the southwest pillar, is where the Archpatriarch of Moscow, Kirill, went and took the so-called Ark of Gabriel that has been in the news lately, where, it was something that caused this huge explosion in the Grand Mosque in Mecca. And so then they asked Archpatriarch Kirill of Moscow to come down, and the head of the Russian Orthodox Church to come down there, and he went to see the Pope in Cuba. The Pope gave him some secret document, and then he immediately went to the Arctic, very close to where this southwest pillar is, where the Church of the Holy Trinity, the only church in Antarctica. I actually found out that it is the only church. I thought they had one at McMurdo, but that's just a chapel. It wasn't a consecrated church. They held some ancient ceremony in the church, and then the Russian Spetsnaz took the Ark of Gabriel, this box or whatever it is, further into the Antarctic interior. Where they went, we don't know, but it is very close to that southwest pillar. Another interesting thing about the pillars of heaven, if from what I've read in the book of Enoch and the book of Jasher, these pillars are at the base of these pillars are located. It's some kind of connection point. It's not just a structure. It's a kind of divine connection point. There may be angels located at the base of these pillars. So, when Admiral Byrd, they say he got scared because he met the edge, but it's possible he may have encountered one of these heavenly beings, these angels, who gave him a severe warning. And if that's not enough to make you lose your bodily functions, I don't know what. But I'm sure it might have been more than just finding the edge that scared them. So now that we found the pillars of heaven, what are these pillars supporting? In the scriptures, the heavens are described as a tent, as it says in Isaiah 40:22. It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in. Now, this term tent is not something that really relates to what we see in our modern day camping tent. The term that we would more closely associate this in modern times is with a pavilion. So the ancient tent structure, or a pavilion in modern terms, might look something like this. Or this. Or, more majestically, like this. Scholars in ancient and medieval times often referred to heaven as a vault. And Gabrielle Henriette, in her work describing the heavens and the earth, described heaven as a vault, and she even said that it appeared to have a pyramidal structure at the top. And also, St. Thomas Aquinas in the Summa Theologica, Part 1, Question 68, referred to heaven as a vault. The vault structure is a kind of structure where you have a squared base of the vault, and then it curves up into a point, just like kind of a pyramidal point. So this would be very similar to what Gabrielle Henriette said. And this vault structure is very common in medieval cathedrals. Here we see two examples of vaulted ceilings in churches or cathedrals. The one on the left being the Church of Saint-Séverin in Paris, and the one on the right being the Cathedral at Reims, France. Here you can see another vaulted ceiling in the fashion of the Romanesque, and it does show you how it comes from a square and then forms into a round or curved surface at the top. And finally, here we see an example of a vaulted ceiling with the pillars going up. So it might be the way it might look from the bottom as you look up to heaven. And anyway, I think this might be worth considering as a structure for the firmament of heaven.